The first arrest in connection with the Gilgo Beach murders case. Rex Heuermann pled not guilty in the deaths of 3 women. Thanks for joining us here on NewsdayTV. I'm Macy Egland. Heuermann is now being held without bail. According to court papers, he's been charged with 3 counts of first and second degree murder for the deaths of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. They're among the 10 victims found in the sand along Gilgo Beach. He is also considered a suspect in the death of a 4th woman. Cecilia Dowd begins our team coverage.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us.
A stunning arrest in a case that drew international intrigue, speculation, and left families desperate for answers for more than a decade. 59-year-old Rex Heuermann of Massapequa Park is accused of killing 3 of the Gilgo Beach victims, the women Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, and Melissa Barthelemy.
They were bound by burlap. It was camouflage burlap used for duck blinds of hunting. Obviously it was used to hide, purposely hide the bodies.
Prosecutors say the defendant is also the prime suspect in the death of Maureen Brainard Barnes. Officials said the extensive investigation involved the defendant's Chevy Avalanche, which had been identified by a witness, and phone records. He allegedly had burner phones, which he'd discard after each murder. And authorities say he didn't shy away from following the case.
In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation. He was compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives, their sisters, their children, and he was trying to locate those individuals.
Evidence includes a pizza crust. Authorities say they recovered a pizza box thrown into a garbage by the defendant. They took a DNA swab from the crust, and that matched a hair found with one of the victim's remains. Heuermann pleaded not guilty at his Riverhead arraignments.
The only thing I can tell you that he did say as he was in tears was, "I didn't do this."
The judge ordered that the defendant be held without bail, citing the extreme depravity of the allegations. He is due back in court August 1st. There have been no arrests in connection with the other Gilgo Beach victims. Reporting from Yaphank, Cecilia Dowd for NewsdayTV.
Police have been swarming over Heuermann's home in Massapequa Park. The street was shut down while the investigation continued. People who live in the neighborhood near Heuermann's home certainly surprised by all the police showing up. Our Drew Scott brings us that part of the story.
Shocking. They can't be anything else but shocking.
That's the reaction of neighbors of Gilgo Beach murder suspect named by sources as Rex Heuermann. Before dawn, dozens of state and local police barricaded the neighborhood streets and began searching through the aging red-colored home on First Avenue in Massapequa Park.
I know I've walked past that house many times with my daughter, bike rides and walks. I'm really upset with all this news.
Neighbors say the suspect grew up in what they describe as a poorly cared for older house and walked alone every day to the railroad and worked in the city at an architectural firm where police say he was arrested last night by the Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force.
I do have to take advantage of this opportunity and thank the teamwork, the effort, the work by all the members of the task force, allowing us to get to this point today.
State, Nassau, and Suffolk police plan to have command posts here throughout the night as they thoroughly search the house and backyard. Other neighbors say the suspect stayed to himself and told a few people he was planning to move to the Carolinas soon.
It's a shock that it happened in this neighborhood, really, because but it just shows you it could be your next door neighbor and you don't know.
In Massapequa Park, Drew Scott for NewsdayTV.
Governor Hochul spoke today about the arrest and the families who have been suffering for years because of this case.
I know there's a community out there that, as the facts unfold, will be sleeping a lot easier tonight. And a lot of families whose lives have been just turned upside down, always wondering, questioning what happened, and will the perpetrator ever be brought to justice?
A former Suffolk DA and Police Commissioner Tim Sini was intimately involved in this case for years. Newsday's associate editor and columnist Joy Brown spoke with him about how we got here and where this case may be heading. It's an interview you'll see only in Newsday.
So you see the news, you were deep into this. What goes through your head?
Oh, I'm relieved. I'm ecstatic. Now look, this is just the beginning of a new chapter. The defendant is presumed innocent. Now the DA's office has to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The cell phone evidence is critical here, and so that will be a key piece. It was a key piece in making the arrest, according to the public document that was filed in court today, which is, of course, no surprise to us. And it will be a key piece if the DA's office goes to trial with this case. But this is a great day. This is a good day for justice. We're all happy that this day has come. Obviously, this allows loved ones of the victims to find some measure of justice, some closure, and equally important, we'll get more answers.
It's taken authorities more than a decade to put this case together. Here's a look at how the murders were uncovered and the timeline on how it progressed.
We found a body at Gilgo Beach.
December 2010, human remains are discovered along Ocean Parkway, the first of what would become 10 victims.
We have no idea whatsoever that we're dealing with a serial killer. Right now, we have more questions than answers.
The remains of 8 women, 1 man, and a child, the Gilgo Beach homicide victims. Their discovery began with the search for Shannon Gilbert in May of 2010, a young woman from New Jersey who authorities say was a sex worker. It was her 911 call that set off a search in Oak Beach.
There's somebody after me. Where are you, ma'am? I don't know.
For months, the search continued until December, when a Suffolk police officer and cadaver dog conducting a routine search uncovered a set of remains. 3 more bodies were found the next day, north of Ocean Parkway, concealed by camo burlap among thick vegetation.
We were quite surprised the second day when we found the second body, and we started going eastbound, and we found the third body, and then ultimately the 4th body.
Over the years, more victims have been discovered. Sets of human remains along Ocean Parkway and other partial remains in places like Manorville, Jones Beach, and the body of a young child found near the remains of a man dressed in women's clothing near Cedar Beach in April of 2011.
Forensic anthropologists estimate that the full skeletal remains appear to be that of a toddler.
The Gilgo Beach homicide victims slowly identified as police searched for clues as to how they died. Many of the victims were identified as sex workers.
Our investigation indicates that each of the victims had been posting ads on computer websites for various escort and other services prior to their disappearance and death.
In 2020, police reached out to the public, revealing a piece of evidence in the case, a black leather belt reading either WH or HM, hoping that, along with an increased reward for information, might finally give them a solid lead. In 2022, Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison created a task force between the agencies in hopes of finally solving the case.
I truly believe that we're going to get down to the bottom of who committed these crimes.
And now an arrest. Rex Hewerman of Massapequa Park, and a trial that may lead to more answers in a case that has gripped Long Island for more than a decade. And be sure to stay with Newsday for continuing coverage on the Gilgo murders case. You can get the very latest information on Newsday TV, on Newsday.com, and on our mobile app. I'm Macy Eglund. Thanks for watching.